What is up, guys? So I've got my Altergeist deck profile for you here today, so let's get straight into that. So obviously multi-faker coming back to 3 on the last, I don't know if it was the last or the one before that, but the last ban list is amazing for this archetype. It is now really good. I mean, before it was already doing quite well even without multi-faker at 3, but now I mean it's a really good archetype. You're always going to see multi-faker if you need it, and it also allows you to play some things in the deck that you didn't have to. So things like desires, which weren't really ideal for the deck before, for example, you can now play desires and focus more on the extra deck if you want to, whereas before you couldn't have gotten away with that, which is lovely. So to start off with, we are obviously going to have 3 Marionetta, the main search of the archetype. This is one of your really good normal summons. This one really good thing about Altergeist as well is they have 6 very strong normal summons in the archetype. They have 2 different ones. So they have the 3 Marionette and the 3 Maliseek, which is lovely. So Marionette, obviously, which is going to search any of your cards. You always want to see him. He also has a very nice effect, or she also has an effect, clearly because she has a skirt, but she also has an effect where you can tribute her to special summon Altergeist from the grave, which is also good in the long game. So 3 of her. Moving on, we have 3 multi-faker, the main kind of extender in the deck, the thing that facilitates a lot of your plays. So she's going to special summon herself out and then special summon another Altergeist from the deck. We have to keep in mind this will lock you in to special summoning only Altergeist monsters if you use that effect. You have to be careful. 2 Silquitus. Now some people do play 3. I think 2 is a good number of Silquitus because you don't really need it. It's very easy to tutor out from the deck through your multi-fakers, so you generally don't need more than 2 in the deck. To be honest, 1 would be fine as well. It's just so that you can guarantee you're always going to have 1 to get off your multi-faker. But Silquitus, obviously the normal bounce that you're going to get off Silquitus is going to be very strong, and you're one of your main forms of disruption. And then you have your 3 Maliseek, which is going to be your main removal. So obviously when you attack directly with this card, you can send 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard, and then also it is a good searcher because if it goes from the field to the graveyard, you get to search any Altergeist monster, which is usually going to be multi-faker. So turn 1, you're either going to be using Marionetta to set a spell or trap, or you're going to be using Maliseek. You're going to link her into Link Karibo or Armorage, and that's going to get your multi-faker or whatever else you need. And then we play 1 Concrete. Concrete is actually an amazing monster. However, we do only play it at 1 because its main thing is that it protects us from bouts, and this is what allows us to get away with playing all those Solemns and playing all those LP costs, because as long as you have another Altergeist monster on the field, it's very easy to keep denying effects. What's even better is Conqueror's effects, both of them are not once per turn, so you can keep bouncing the Conqueror with your Silquitus to get multiple negations of attacks and multiple negations of cards on field. Having said that, once Conqueror leaves the field, that card will no longer be negated. But yeah, that is the monster lineup, or that is the Altergeist monster lineup. Anyway, moving on from that, we are going to be playing 3 Extravagance, 2 Duality, 3 Imperm that make some of our Altergeist spells and traps. So we're going to be playing 2 Manifestation, which is basically a monster reborn. It also recycles Altergeist traps. 2 Altergeist Protocol, which is going to stop our Altergeist cards from being negated. It is also our main monster negate in our deck. And 3 Spoofing. This card is amazing. The only sad thing about this card obviously is that it is not an Altergeist card, which makes it just a little bit difficult to deal with, because if you don't see Spoofing and you don't see multi-faker, it's quite difficult, but it's almost guaranteed you'll see multi-faker, Spoofing, or Maliseek. And even if you don't see any of those 3, you're gonna see an Extravagance or a Duality, which will get you into one of those 3. So you have a lot of ways to kind of get your engine going. But anyway, that is Personal Spoofing. Personal Spoofing also has a lot of really cool interactions with Silquitus, a lot of really cool interactions that allow you to kind of, with Manifestation, that allow you to kind of like bounce cards or bounce Manifestation after reviving something, so that monster doesn't die and such. So it's just a really good card all around. Moving on from that, we are going to play 2 Rivalry of Warlords. Well, with a tongue twist there. Now, the reason why I play this specifically is actually because of its interaction with Nibiru. One of my friends actually did this to me in a tournament, but what's really good is you can Nibiru an opponent's field, obviously, and lock them under that. And I found that a really potent lock to go in this deck, because it's a huge problem. What you can do to your opponent is obviously lock them into a Nibiru token, unless they have something they can link into that is a rock, which unless they're playing Adamantipator, they are not going to have that. And even if they have playing Adamantipator, it's not going to be easy for them to link into something with it. then they're going to be screwed. They're going to be stuck under tokening. You can just keep pinging them in the face of Miloseek and negating attacks of Concrete. It's actually a very, very good strategy. It's kind of similar to what you would be doing with Mystic Mine. Moving on from that, where you're going to play a big Solemn Brigade, 3 Strike, 3 Judgment. These are the best Solemn. Solemn Warning is not a terrible trap, but right now it's just not very relevant. These two will nearly always be live, which is really wonderful. So obviously you're going to play these, 1 Imperial Order and 1 Skill Drain. So I really like Skill Drain in this deck, and this is something that I've been testing because this is something that OCG does. At the OCG, Skill Drain obviously being, I think at 3, it might be at 2, but I'm pretty sure it's at 3 in the OCG. One of the things they do a lot is they play Skill Drain because while your Altergeist monsters are on field, they cannot be negated by Skill Drain. The negation will not go through because Protocol prevents your Altergeist monsters effects, Altergeist card effects from being negated. And so having Skill Drain is actually a really good combo of Protocol because you can kind of lock out the field for your opponent while you're still able to do everything you need to do. I also play 1 Imperial Order, obviously a very sacky card. If you draw it's kind of one. What's really nice is that I have a lot of different kind of locks in my build where kind of, for example, if I see a Skill Drain in the Protocol, then it's very hard for my opponent to deal with that. If I see Order, it's very hard for my opponent to deal with that. If I see Rivalry and Nibiru ends up being live, it's hard for my opponent to deal with that. So really game 1, it's about me kind of locking my opponent under one of those things, and it's just so many decks won't be able to deal with that, and so it helps to deal with the fact that Altergeist is quite a slow deck, because that's the main thing you're going to struggle with pushing for games. So you need to find a way. You can't just rely on that advantage game that Multi-Faker and Silquetus are going to get you. You have to make sure that you're getting some sort of lock into the game where it's like you're unfairly denying your opponent from playing the game so that you can win. So they just scoop. That's the ideal scenario. I think a lot of my games my opponent will just scoop because they'll realize even though they might still be at 6,000 life points, they know there's no way they're going to get out of the massive amount of advantage in the lock that I've got them under. But anyway, that is the main deck. Moving on from that, we are going to be playing, now because we're playing Extravagance, we're just going to play 3 Almirage, 3 Link Karibo, 3 Hextia and 3 Prime Banshee. These are the main Link monsters in my extra deck. I want to see all of them at some point during the game, and so that's why I'm going to obviously have all 3 because I am playing Extravagance. So Almirage and Link Karibo as your playstarters, Hextia as your main spell and trap negate, and because it helps you push for damage, and Prime Banshee is a nice just kind of extender monster. Altergeist do have a strong Link 4, however in my opinion it's just not that relevant 9 times out of 10. I know there are some combos that you can do, but let me actually get it up. So they do have, what is the name of that Link 4? They do have, Memory Gun. I'm not sure if it's out yet. And it's not a bad monster at all, but it's just that, in my opinion, it's not relevant. We don't need to see it right now. Moving on from that, we then have Boral Sword Dragon, Celine, and Access Code Talker as just kind of extra text that you can play in the deck. Again, I don't really care about any of them because chances are I'm not going to be able to use them in most scenarios. They're going to get banished off my Extravagance. But yeah, they're just some other kind of Link 4s and 3s you can play in the deck so that you can kind of have a bit more potency. Then moving on to the side deck, we have 3 Crackdown. Crackdown is an amazing spell for Altergeist for so many reasons. One of the biggest things obviously is that you can take your opponent's monster, and there's a lot of threats that you wouldn't be able to deal with normally, maybe because their attack is too high or something, but Crackdown is obviously going to allow you to slow down your opponent's plays, get rid of one of those monsters, and then now it's like you've got a monster on your side of the field that's also defending you from attacks, which is lovely. Moving on, we play 3 Unending Nightmare. I really like Unending Nightmare. I've started to play it more in my decks just because it provides this continuous sort of spell and trap destruction, and it can be activated multiple times. So it's once per chain, but even after you use it in that one chain, you can keep seeing it. So as soon as you see one Unending Nightmare, you know you've got a lot of spell and trap removal. So this is really good. Heavy Storm Duster is also very good in this deck as well. You can play things like Twin Twister and Evenly Match. Evenly Match is actually really, really good for Altergeist. I just happen to not play it in this variant, but it is a good card. So definitely still look at Evenly Match. And then moving on from that, we do have Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine, the most busted card in the game. Against certain matchups, it will just win it for you outright. So that's why I do play those 3 Mystic Mine and 1 Metaverse. Then we have our 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring and 2 Ghost Ogre, and that's just in certain matchups. I know that it's going to be nice to see Ash Blossom, for example. If I'm playing Dragma right now, that would be a really good deck to put Ash Blossom out against all Ghost Ogres. That's why I have those cards as well. So yeah, that is the deck profile in total, guys. This deck is really fun to play. I mean, I really like it as well because in my opinion, it is quite a low ceiling, it's quite a low floor deck, so it's a very low skill floor. You can use this deck to kind of get used to the control style of play, to get used to a trap-based deck, but it has got a very high ceiling. There are a lot of plays you can do with it. It also has quite a bit of flexibility in the main deck. There are so many different ways you can play with it. They do have other good cards. It just so happens that these are the most competitive in most people's opinions, which is why these are the ones I'm playing. But yeah, I would say this is definitely a good deck to pick up. So guys, try out Altergeist. It's going to do really well, this format. Don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you want me to do any specific deck profile. I'll be sure to get into it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more great content. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.